The morning sun shone over the busy downtown market, where life bustled with noise, chatter, and hurried footsteps. But amid all that brightness, a fragile shadow trembled in fear. A young girl in a wheelchair, her frail hands clutching a small loaf of bread. She wasn't more than 15, her hair neatly tied with a blue ribbon, her eyes filled with tears. Beside her stood a furious store clerk, shouting at the top of his lungs, accusing her of stealing. The crowd had gathered, some recording the scene, others whispering judgments. She tried to hide it under her blanket. The clerk yelled, his face red with anger, "People like you ruin this city." The girl shook her head, her voice barely audible. "I didn't. I just wanted to pay later." But no one listened. Before you discover what happened next, if you believe in kindness, in standing up for what's right, and giving people second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps spread stories that remind the world there's still hope in humanity. From across the street, a man named Ryan Cooper, a single father in his late 30s, was buying school supplies for his son. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, his tired eyes hinted at sleepless nights, and the faint oil stains on his hands spoke of long hours at the mechanic shop where he worked. He had raised his 8-year-old son, Liam, alone since his wife passed away 3 years ago in a car accident. Life hadn't been kind, but Ryan had learned to keep moving, not for himself, but for the little boy who still looked up to him like a hero. When Ryan saw the crowd forming, his instinct told him something was wrong. He wheeled Liam across the street and stood on his toes to see. His heart sank when he noticed the frightened girl being humiliated in public. The bread she was accused of stealing lay on the counter, still wrapped in plastic. The shopkeeper's words cut through the air like knives. "You think pity will feed my family? Get out before I call the police." Ryan couldn't stand it anymore. He pushed through the crowd and stepped forward. "Hey, that's enough," he said firmly. Everyone turned toward him. The shopkeeper frowned. "Who are you? You saw what she did." But Ryan shook his head. "No, I didn't see her steal anything, but I see a scared girl in a wheelchair, hungry and humiliated. Maybe try asking what happened before shouting at her like that." The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. The girl's trembling hands tightened around the wheel of her chair. Ryan knelt beside her, his voice soft. "Hey, it's okay. Did you take it without paying?" The girl whispered, I wanted to, but I couldn't reach the counter to pay. I was waiting for someone to help me. I was just hungry." Ryan turned to the shopkeeper. "How much is the bread?" he asked. The man crossed his arms. $2, but that's not the point." Ryan pulled a few crumpled bills from his wallet, placed them on the counter, and said, "Now it's paid. The point is, you just yelled at a child." Then he turned the wheelchair around and guided the girl out of the store. The crowd dispersed slowly, and the murmurs faded away. Outside, Ryan sighed and crouched again to meet her eyes. "You okay?" he asked. The girl nodded weakly, tears still rolling down her cheeks. "Thank you, sir. I didn't mean to cause trouble. My name's Maya," she said, her voice shaking. Ryan smiled gently. "I'm Ryan, and this is my son Liam. Don't worry about it." Liam, who had been holding his father's hand tightly, looked up at Maya and smiled shyly. "You don't have to cry. Dad says kind people always win." That made Maya smile faintly for the first time. As they sat on a nearby bench, Ryan offered to buy her something to eat. She hesitated but agreed after he insisted. Over sandwiches and lemonade, Ryan learned that Maya lived in a small rental room on the edge of town with her grandmother, who was ill. They barely managed to survive on a small pension and whatever help neighbors could offer. Maya had been paralyzed from the waist down after a road accident. 2 years ago, the driver who hit her had never been found. She had been returning from the hospital pharmacy that morning when hunger overtook her. Listening to her story, Ryan felt something tighten in his chest. He saw his late wife in that fragile face, someone who had also suffered because of circumstances beyond her control. He didn't know why, but he felt a sudden responsibility to help Maya. Over the next few weeks, Ryan began visiting her and her grandmother, bringing food, helping fix things in their small home, and even teaching Maya how to paint with her hands. Liam became her little buddy, often sitting by her side and showing her his schoolwork. Slowly, laughter began to fill that quiet house again, but life had its own way of testing people. One afternoon, while Ryan was at work, 2 police officers arrived at the mechanic shop. Mr. Ryan Cooper. One of them asked. "Yes," Ryan said cautiously, "we need to talk about an incident involving you and a girl named Maya Reynolds." The officer said. Ryan's heart dropped. "What about her?" The officer handed him a paper. "Her father filed a complaint. He's accusing you of taking her without permission and manipulating her for money." Ryan's eyes widened in disbelief. Her father? But she told me he passed away. Confused and scared, Ryan immediately drove to Maya's house only to find it surrounded by black luxury cars and men in suits. Standing near the gate was a tall man in his 50s, dressed in an expensive gray suit, his eyes cold and sharp. Ryan recognized wealth when he saw it. "Who are you?" Ryan asked. The man glared. "I'm Richard Reynolds, Maya's father." Ryan froze. "You're alive." Richard's tone was cutting. "You thought you could trick my daughter into believing you cared. You think I wouldn't find out." Maya, hearing the commotion, wheeled herself out, her voice trembling. "Dad, please stop. He didn't do anything wrong. You left us." Richard's jaw tightened. "I was working abroad, providing for you. You think I wanted you to live like this?" His voice rose, but Maya's eyes filled with tears. "You were never there. You didn't even know I was paralyzed." Silence fell. Ryan stepped forward calmly. "Mr. Reynolds, with all due respect, your daughter needed love, not money. Maybe try listening to her before you judge." Richard looked away, his face pale. "You really think I don't care?" he muttered. Maya reached for his hand. "I just wanted you to be my dad again." That simple sentence broke something inside him. He knelt, tears filling his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Maya. I didn't know. I thought sending money was enough." The tension eased as the father and daughter finally embraced, crying softly. Ryan watched quietly, relief washing over him. In the following weeks, Richard made arrangements to bring Maya and her grandmother into his care. But before leaving, Maya insisted on visiting Ryan's small workshop one last time. She rolled in quietly, holding a small painting, the one she had made with Ryan's help. It showed a mechanic helping a girl in a wheelchair beneath a bright morning sky. "You saved me, Mr. Ryan," she said softly, "not just from hunger, but from giving up." Ryan smiled, his eyes misty. "No, Maya, you saved me. You reminded me that kindness still matters." As she left with her father, Ryan stood by the door, holding Liam's hand, watching the car disappear down the road. For the first time in a long while, his heart felt full, not because of what he had done, but because of what he had seen. Love rediscovered, hope reborn, and the proof that compassion still changes lives. Weeks later, a letter arrived at Ryan's workshop. It was from Maya. Inside was a thank you card and a check for $50,000 with a note written in her delicate handwriting. "Dad wanted to repay you, but I wanted to gift this to your son's future, because you believed in me when the world didn't." Ryan stood there for a long moment, tears silently falling. He folded the note gently and placed it in his wallet. That night, as he tucked Liam into bed, he whispered, "Son, remember, never be afraid to stand up for what's right. Even small kindness can change someone's whole world." If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every story we share reminds the world that love, empathy, and courage still exist. And before you go, leave a comment below with just one word, kindness, to let the world know you still believe in it.